So welcome to the Sexy Successful Alignment. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the feminine energy and what the gift of being in our feminine even looks like. But then we're also going to go into that divine masculine capacity of creating structure, of being able to plan and organize ourselves so that the feminine can relax into that safety. And a lot of times we externalize that expectation. We expect someone else to do it for us, whether it's our partners, whether it's, other people in our lives. When it comes to everything and anything, one thing I have learned, which has supported me in really stepping into my power and my capacity, is that everything is up to me. My life is up to me. And the truth of the matter is, all of our lives are up to us. If we are not able to take responsibility for our lives, then we can't look outside of ourselves and blame someone else for something that we don't have. We're not children anymore, reliant on our parents to give us the unconditional love that we feel we didn't get from them. And to be very honest, coming from a perspective that I have of life and many, many people have, is that we are not a human with a spirit or a soul. We are a spirit and a soul in this human body, in our existence, to learn something, to grow, and to evolve. And so every single experience is truly a gift. And I know that every time I say this, somebody always comes up and says, what do you mean? This really disgusting, toxic thing happened to me. How can you say that's my gift? But to be very fair, everybody's experience, when we come out of it from that place of being the victim, when we can see that everything guides us, supports us, and nurtures us to evolve and grow, when we take that responsibility, we can then say, okay, I learned something from this past. It doesn't make what happened okay, but it does bring it back to you. It brings your power back to you to say, I forgive myself for judging myself, the person, the situation, whatever that looks like, and bringing that power back to your own capacity. And when we bring that power, we can see the thing that happened as a gift. It's a choice. We don't have to suffer. Suffering is something that we commit to. And if we think about every experience that we have not been in our power, in our fullest capacity, it's because we're externalizing that power to somebody else. We're externalizing our judgment. We're externalizing our blame. Anytime we judge ourselves, we're stuck with that thing. Anytime we judge someone else, we're stuck with that thing, right? Every time we point the finger and say, you need to change, there's 3 fingers pointing back at us. That is an opportunity for us to take what's happening in our external world. Carl Jung said it so beautifully. And I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have the exact terms, but he said that everything that happens in our external world is played out so much more dramatically in our external world so that it can mirror what's inside of us that wants to be seen. And coming from that coaching perspective, coming from that unconditionally loving perspective, we can see the external world as a mirror of ourselves and really face ourselves and support ourselves to step into this space where it's not fun to meet our growth edges sometimes. It's not nice to say, oh, how can I take responsibility for this? What am I supposed to learn from this? And that's why being in community, being with other women, being in this space of healing and growth, we're able to catch each other. We're able to reflect to one another. This is where I see your power, and this is where I see you playing small. And this is your opportunity to step up. And you get to put on the training wheels and you get to practice with each other and then step out into the world in your radiance, knowing that you are so supported by your sisters in this space. So I wish I could claim this and say, this is my life's work and I'm doing it for me from this egotistical place, but I can't. And it's 11:11, of course, perfect timing. It's always perfect timing. I have been called to sisterhood to support the healing of that sister wound where we haven't felt safe to be with sisters. I know a lot of women come to me and say, as I'm doing my healing, as I'm evolving, as I am claiming my truth, my friends are falling away. I can't even call them my friends anymore because we have not been taught and supported in this beautiful tribal way. We have not been in a space where we get to show up vulnerably, where we get to say, yeah, you know what? I fucked up. Like that was not my best foot forward. I was going through this thing. I was triggered, right? We look at triggers as a bad thing. We look at triggers as something that's supposed to destroy us. But the truth is, every single person in our lives is in our lives to trigger us so that we can grow. And when we take that personal responsibility, instead of pointing the finger and saying, you triggered me, we say, I was triggered in that situation, and my response was a reaction instead of a conscious response to the situation. This is what happened. Thank you for your compassion. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for catching me and being able to support me. And sometimes we don't catch each other very well, and that's okay too. That's where the forgiveness and the compassion comes in, and the true sisterhood. When we come forward and we are able to share vulnerably and we're able to catch each other in that compassionate space, that's where the growth truly happens. So I want to invite you today. I'm going to play some music, and we're just going to allow ourselves to kind of fall a little bit into our feminine, lose control a little bit, right? We're so used to being in this masculine overdrive of constantly having control, constantly knowing what's happening next, always being on schedule, always being on time. And I know that all of us, no matter what you tell me, no matter how juicy and expansive and beautiful your life is, at some point you have had to rely on your schedule. You have had to show up for things you didn't maybe want to show up for. You've been in that overdrive. You've been burnt out at some point. Maybe that's right now. Maybe that was in the past. So this energy, embracing our divine feminine, is all about showing up for ourselves first so that we can fill our cup and overflow, so that we can allow our creative side to come out, so that we can connect with our family, our friends, our work, all of the spiritual, beautiful, juicy callings, our purpose in this lifetime, to be able to show up and do that thing in our power, instead of doing it with the little pieces of us that are left over at the end of the day. All right, so I'm just going to share the video that I shared earlier so that we have something to look at. It helps to have this video just to kind of zone out a little bit, and you can close your eyes if you feel more comfortable closing your eyes. And I will just start the playlist again and just guide along. So I invite you to arrive to this space and close your eyes if you feel comfortable. If you prefer to keep them open, that's okay too. I invite you to arrive into your body, into this beautiful, gorgeous vessel that you have been gifted in this lifetime, and allow yourself to just for this moment, we are going to forget about everything else in our world, and we are just going to be here right now. We are going to embrace the presence of the current moment. That is the only thing we ever truly have. This is our purpose. This is our mission. We are here. If you're listening to this right now, if you're here, it's because you've been guided to be here. I have been placed in this position to remind you of your greatness, and all of your sisters here as well. Every single person in our lives is placed in our life to remind us of our greatness, and it is our choice whether we receive it that way or fight against it. Today is the day that we change our perspective. Today is the day that we recognize that everything happens for us. And instead of getting upset, instead of getting mad, instead of kicking and screaming and pushing and shouting against it, we are going to say thank you. Thank you for all of the gifts we have been given. Thank you for this challenging experience where I get to dig deep and grow. Thank you for the tears. Thank you for the anger. That is my power. That is my passion. Thank you for this beautiful opportunity to connect and to grow and to evolve together. Thank you for this beautiful body, for this powerful voice, for my capacity to hear and see all of the things, for feeling When life is not right, when it's not in integrity, thank you for calling me forward to do something about it. Arriving here right now, knowing that we have a massive, important purpose. Also recognizing that it starts with us. We must be in integrity, which means showing up at our fullest capacity. And that means taking care of ourselves. That means prioritizing self-care. That means sometimes saying no to the things that don't feel aligned, because showing up would be doing a disservice of inquiry to ourselves and to everybody there. Just for right now, maintain this beautiful knowing of alignment. It is your choice if you choose to take it with you on your journey. And I invite you to recognize your capacity, your gift, your divine opportunities, the powers that are uniquely yours. You may be a visionary, you may be a powerful speaker, maybe someone that's really good at organization and planning. And when you find that place where you get to shine your gifts, everything comes together, everything happens for you. That is synchronicity. That is the balance between your masculine and your feminine. That is that divine unity that we all tend to experience. So just for today, say thank you. Thank yourself for slowing down. Thank yourself for checking in. Thank yourself for being here. To really ask yourself, what is my purpose? How am I meant to show up? How can I do this life thing more powerful, that I can be in my full radiance? Take your time here. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Beautiful. A lot of people are off camera, so I can't tell if you're back with us or if you're still, taking a moment, and that's okay. Take your time. If you want to stay in that space, you can just turn off your camera, you can mute the sound, and you can just stay in that beautiful, gorgeous space. So I'm going to bring us into an opportunity to take a look at the alignment inquiry, which is such a powerful tool. And a lot of people talk about the alignment inquiry. They call it the wheel of life. They call it different things. But I just want to share how I use the alignment inquiry with my clients, with myself. And now is a really gorgeous time. A lot of people check in and do their alignment check-ins. They set goals. They do all of this during the new year in December and January. But many different religions and many different people around the world, old ancient cultures, springtime is the time of renewal. Springtime is the time that we step in and we actually check in. We do our spring cleaning. We release the old and we embrace the new. And so for me personally, it's been this gorgeous space where I've been able to ask myself, how am I not showing up in my greatest capacity, first and foremost for myself? And then how is that spilling over into the rest of my world? And this alignment inquiry is just one tool that we can use to get really, really clear on how we're showing up. So I invite you to take one section of this alignment inquiry, and I will guide you on how you can use this to really check in for yourself where you're at and what is calling you forward. How can you actually step into your full power and your full alignment at that 10 out of 10? So you might look at spirituality, you might think about wealth, joy, social life, relationships, home environment, health, physical activity, creativity. Home cooking is on there. If you think about diet in itself, that kind of fits into health. I think about health as the mind, body, spirit health, that holistic health perspective. And you can define it however you want to. Just make sure when you choose a section, you know what that means for you. And if you want to choose something that's not on the list, you can also choose that and replace what's there with what you would like to check in for yourself. So today, as we check in, as you choose one section, you are going to rate from that place of your essence, from that place of your knowing, not the squirrely brain that likes to overanalyze, but really from your soul, from your heart, and from that deeply connected place. Where are you right now in your life on a scale of 1 to 10? So if we imagine that we're using joy as an example, 1 would be not really joyful at all. 5 might be, I'm joyful sometimes. And 10 might be, I'm joyful all the time. Even when I'm doing something that I don't want to do, I find joy in it anyways. And when you do this, try to do it without judging it too much. Just trust the number that comes through for you. And we'll go into analyzing a little bit later. So just for right now, trust the number that comes up. So when you close your eyes and you think about that category, whatever you've chosen, imagine yourself at your 10 out of 10 alignment. You are perfectly aligned. You have everything you could ever want. You are showing up powerfully. You are waking up excited for the day. You are doing things in a way that are fully supportive of who you're meant to be. What does that 10 out of 10 look like for you in this category? And when you can envision that, you can envision between where you are now and where you are at that 10 out of 10. And then we can get into that beautiful masculine capacity to split things up and to organize and to plan. What is it going to take for me to get from where I am now? Let's say we're at a 6 in joy. What is it going to take to get me to a 7? What does that look like? What is an aligned action that I can take in the next 24 hours to get myself to that 7? What does that look like? What does getting to an 8 look like? What does getting to a 9 look like? And what does getting to a 10 look like? Some of it is very masculine. Some of it is planning, organization, scheduling things, looking at your calendar. A lot of times during the masterminds, we get into energetic management. So energetic time management, energetic management of our friends and our family members, what we say yes and no to. So remember that it is a balance. Trusting first our intuition. You'll learn embodied decision making in the mastermind. It's such a beautiful way to check in if you find yourself overanalyzing, if you find yourself in the mind overthinking things. It's a beautiful way to just dive into the body and check in. Do I actually want to go? Forget about all the people that I'm trying to please being there. Am I meant to be there? Right? Being able to check in with ourselves. And when we can ground that vision, we'll have a vision workshop later on, but when we can ground that vision of what 10 out of 10 looks like in all of the different categories, then we truly step into our power because we know what alignment looks like. So any invitation, any opportunity that comes to us and invites us, we can check in with ourselves at that 10 out of 10 alignment. Is this going to get me closer to that 10 out of 10? Does it make me feel like I'm in that 10 out of 10? Or does it make me feel like, oh, maybe I'm people pleasing? Maybe I'm showing up because someone wants me to be there rather than I am meant to be there. Because when we do ignore ourselves, when we do show up for those things, we end up drained. And that's a big percentage of our population and even ourselves. When we do the things that we're not in alignment with or are not in alignment with our greatest calling, purpose, and capacity, that's when we get drained. And then we start blaming and shaming and guilting, and that only gets us more stuck. So the beauty of having this alignment and this vision is so powerful. And the part of doing it in sisterhood, the part of doing it together is we get to hold that vision for each other. This is more than accountability. We get to support one another in our visions. When we commit to someone else's 10 out of 10 alignment, it is truly magical. There's no other word that I can use for it. I mean, we could explain it in the terms of quantum physics if we wanted to go into that. But these are the laws of the universe. This is science. This is the balance, that divine feminine and masculine. They work together. That's the universe. Someone explained it to me yesterday. Alan explained it to our group yesterday about the butterfly, going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. There was a child that looked at the cocoon and at this butterfly trying to break out of its cocoon and really trying to stretch its wings, and it was struggling. And the child didn't know any better. It just wanted to help. And so it helped to break the cocoon. But then the butterfly fell out and it couldn't fly. And that's because it didn't develop the strength through that space of resilience, through that space of having to push through that space of having to grow its edges. It wasn't able to grow the muscles. It wasn't able to push and create the resistance for that blood flow to come into the wings so that it can develop fully. And so many times we don't give ourselves the time and the space and the compassion to grow through those challenging times, to grow our growth edges, to really show up and be able to say no sometimes. No, thank you. I don't want to be there. All the power to you, but it's just not my place. And that is not just okay, that is a wow. And then you get that feedback. So when we do this thing together, when we are able to hold each other in that vision, we don't step in to do things for one another. We step in to hold each other in that safety while we are stretching our edges, while we are in this uncomfortable place, while we are ugly crying, knowing that we're supported by our sisters, knowing that we're in this space, this safety, this community that sees us in our power and reminds us of our greatness. Because we don't all have that. So many women are doing this thing on their own. I know I was, and it was not fun. And even now, when it's been thick and it's been gunky and I've been in the mud, being able to be supported by my sisters to say, hey, I see you. This situation is no longer serving you. Let's get you out of there. Let me help you if you want a hand. And if you say no, that's okay too. I'm here. I love you. You've got this. You can do this. That in and of itself is so powerful. It is everything. So this is why I know that I have been called to hold space. I've been diving into gene keys and learning more about that sort of spiritual algorithm that I have chosen. Why did I come here in this place, the location, the time that I was born? It holds an energetic pattern for the way I'm meant to show up in my life. And that is explained by gene keys. And I'm so excited to learn more about it. But one thing I know is I'm meant to be in community, and I have the gene for matriarch, which of course, I've known that. I always sign off as XOX, your spirit mama. Everyone's always come to be that for them, but having this understanding of how it all fits into place has been so powerful. So I'll let you know more as we dive in. And if you choose to join the mastermind, I would love to bring Crystal in to talk more about it, and share more about gene keys. The beginning part of the mastermind is all about self-mastery and knowing ourselves. Know thy real self. And we dive into all of the things, the Enneagram, we dive into human design, we dive into Dharma quizzes, we dive into all this juicy stuff to get to know ourselves. And Gene Keys, really, it seems like it has all of those answers. So I'm excited to learn more about that. But just for right now, I want you to later on today, take the recording and go through each of the sections of that alignment inquiry. And again, you don't have to use the terms that are already there. You can create your own. But in order to get into your power, in order to get into your fullest capacity, you know the answers. We don't need anything like gene keys. We don't need that analysis. It just helps us to ground and know who we really are. But the truth is, the answers are inside of you. You don't need anyone to tell you. It's a tool, right? You already know. And so many times we've been taught that we have to be a good girl and we have to show up when we're told and how we're told. We have to dress how we're told. We have to speak how we're told or not speak how we're expected to. Be quiet, just do the thing. But our true power doesn't come from there. Our true power comes from within. And we all, when we give ourselves the opportunity to slow down and check in, our vision, if you get a vision of being whatever that looks like, if it's on a yacht, if it's, in some other part of the world, speaking on stages, if it's having 10 husbands. I mean, I can't make it up for you, but anything is possible because it's your vision and no one else can create that vision for you. If it comes to you, it is yours by divine right. And it is up to you to claim it and take the necessary steps to make it happen. And the hardest step is the first step. The hardest step in our truth is that first step to say, this doesn't feel aligned for me. You know what? I'm not going to go to that event. You know what, boss? I'm not going to take on that project because it's out of integrity for me. And that is where change happens. And that is where our world gets to align in integrity. Because if it's not an integrity for you, it's also not an integrity for other people. And I talk about this now. I used to say that it's a choice. It's no longer a choice, especially for the women. We are being called now to make a new world. Like, this is it. The time is now. If you're not in integrity, if you're still doing things out of integrity, you are allowing the old way to still happen. It is a divine order for us to step in and show up in integrity. Now is the time. I'm so excited for this because when we say yes, it actually becomes easy. It becomes juicy. The universe says, yes, you did the hard thing. Thank you for speaking for so many others that don't have a voice. Thank you for doing the thing that you're being called to do. Thank you for stepping into your calling. Thank you. That thank you resonates so deeply. That drop in the ocean, oh, it can become an entire tsunami. It will wipe out the old way that no longer serves us. But we have to take that first step into alignment. It is our divine right. It is our personal responsibility. It's not even a choice anymore. It's not about you. It's about all of us. It's about the collective. And when we do this work, oh my goodness, the world that we will leave for our children and their children and our great, great, great grandchildren, wow, it is going to be magnificent, truly magnificent. So thank you for showing up today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to the calling. Thank you for your commitment to this space. Thank you for your beautiful energy. Thank you for co-creating what we have here right now. Thank you. Just going to pause the recording and bring us back.